Troy's a kind of typical 50s African-American patriarch. He's, I would say that in his own house he's the king of his castle, but when he's outside he's invisible, because we are in pre-civil rights America. Emmett Till has been murdered. Rosa Parks just sat on the front seat of the bus and got in trouble for it. But we haven't had the big civil rights thing yet. People are being lynched in the South as we speak. But she's still drinking at separate water fountains and things like that. But Troy's very opinionated, and he does some amazing things in the play. He goes to his boss and says he doesn't want to be a guy lugging garbage cans anymore, he wants to be a driver. He's very tough, he's very stubborn. But he's a bit of a one, and I compare it to put it mildly, he's up there, I think, with some of the great Arthur Miller characters, like Willie Loman and the dad in All My Sons, which I love Arthur Miller. So the last half an hour of every Arthur Miller play, I'm sort of in floods of tears. And with this, when I read it, it had a similar effect to me the first time I read it, which is why I wanted to do it, because August Wilson has written a play that is, I'm sure it was inspired by Arthur Miller, but this guy is a towering colossus of a wreck of a man, who has a moral code. He has a strong moral code about raising your family and taking care of your kids and looking after you and giving your wife your pay every Friday, but he ain't doing right by her, and he ain't doing right by his brother who's got a metal plate in his head, and he ain't doing right by his son, but he wants everybody to do as he says, but not as he does. It's one rule for Troy, but a different rule for everybody else. And he's not all... Think about Troy as well, he's not a touchy-feely dad. Oh yeah, he likes hugging up his missus and making big public displays of emotion. But when it comes down to it, he's a difficult man who's been married for 18 years and he's a bit bored with the way things are, and so his interests are aroused elsewhere, let's say. And it causes problems in the play. And his wife Rose is a fantastic, nurturing, loving mum. I think women are going to love Rose, because she's just like your mum. She cares about everybody, she cooks for everybody, she does everything, and yet she's not scared to take this man on toe to toe. Anybody who's got extended family knows people who've had a kid illegitimately. We all know this. And Troy's a human being. He has to basically beg her to look after his daughter. And it's a sea change. And he just has to, they say dogs kind of, when they want to give in to the leader of the pack, they have to show their neck. Troy has to reveal his neck and say, I've got a little baby here, say what you want, but I need your help. He's not going to give the baby up. They're not going to give the baby away. He's taking responsibility for it. And that's the one thing you learn for all the way through this play. I am responsible. A man takes care of his family. And he arrives with the baby, and he just says, if she throws me out, she throws me out. I've been homeless before, but not with a baby. And, he tells the baby the story, and Rose listens. And then when Rose comes out, he says, look, you and them boys are the only family I've got. You and them and this baby are my family. Please help. And she takes the baby from her and agrees. And he just bares his neck, and he reveals his vulnerability. But then from then on, everything changes. Because she's going to be the mum, and she ain't going to be his wife now. Not in the true sense of what being a wife means. And it's difficult. And he doesn't like it, but he has to eat it, because it's a bed of his own making. What's great about Wilson, the way he writes, is you get a whole world, but it's all described. You couldn't do that in the movie. You'd see Corey at a football game, and you'd see Troy go down to his Hertzberg at the furniture store. But Wilson very skillfully paints the picture by just what people say. And there are massive stories. The play stops as Troy regales them and holds court by describing a world. He describes 1918 and what it was like, and about how people were living under a bridge, and how black people were living by the riverbanks in houses made of sticks and tar paper, any kind of shelter they could get. No jobs, nowhere to live, no money. Troy was a thief, had a knife, robbed people. So you learn by listening, and it's a fantastic play for that. You get modern plays now, they're more cinematic now, but this is a play in the old school sense, where characters come on and they don't just describe the weather, they describe the emotional weather and what's going on too. And
And a real theatre piece.
It's a proper theatre piece, and it's extraordinary. Things move ahead. It's now, the next day, 2 days later, a month later, 6 months later, 10 years later. It's fantastic. I love that.
Oh, how do you get on with soaring and building fences and
I can soar. I was rubbish at woodwork. I think there's a lopsided coffee table at my house that Mr. Carpenter told me to smuggle out of school in the dead of night.
He wasn't called Mr. Carpenter.
Yeah, it was. Our woodwork teacher was called Mr. Carpenter. Yeah. He said, "Get it out of here, but don't take it out of here in daylight."